You're out of this, use this. What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker Bushcraft. So we all know that rope and cordage is a very valuable asset in the survival and bushcraft scenario. Even just camping in general, we use this stuff all the time. But what if you find yourself in a pinch and you don't have this? What are you gonna do? So there's lots of different options, but one of those options that you might already know about is to take a bottle and make cordage out of this bottle. It's a simple process if you do it the way I'm gonna show you right now. So there's lots of different ways to make cordage from this, and when I say lots of different ways, I mean ways that you can utilize by cutting trees or stumps in specific manners and spinning the bottle and putting your knife in a certain way. But I'm going to show you a very easy hack here, and that is just utilizing the cap and a knife as your cutting tool to make that cordage. All right, so we have our water bottle. There it is. What we're going to first do is take off the cap, place the bottle to the side, and now we're going to make 4 cuts on this cap. The first cut is going to be here. The second cut is going to be across from it. So we're going to put 2 cuts on the cap. Now I have the top of the cap facing down, and I'm just going to take my pocket knife here and I'm going to cut down until I hit the top. So I'm not cutting, when I cut this, I'm not cutting into this cap. I'm just cutting the side of the cap itself. And I'm going to come right across from that on the other side, and I'm going to just cut downward also. So I have 2 cuts there just like that. Now I have a cut again here and here. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to poke my knife here and here. I want to actually cut through the lid. So I'm just going to take my knife here towards the outside of this, and I'm just going to work it. This is the only one you got to be somewhat careful with as you cut, so you don't cut your fingers. Again, my 2 cuts are here. I made 1 cut through the lid here and 1 here. So I'm going to make that next, and you're going to see how this all comes together really nice and easy here in a second. So we're going to make that just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold our lid. So you can see my cuts down the side are opening up. I'm going to fold that back on itself like this, and then I'm going to place my knife through those 2 slits that we made earlier. Again, being careful that we don't cut our fingers when we do this, and sometimes you're going to have to work your knife through depending on how you made the cuts. You might have to open the cut up a little bit wider, but I'm just going to work that through till I get to about the center of my blade, just like this. Now with the lid looking like this on my knife, okay, what I want to do is I want to just open up this gap here where the 2 lids came together like that, and that is creating now a depth gauge. So my knife, okay, when I put this onto my bottle here in a second, is going to be the same depth from the top of this, right where my fingers are, to my blade the entire time that we cut our cordage. Okay, so really easy little quick depth gauge to make. It should look just like that. Now let me show you how to prep the bottle. Now all that you're going to do with your bottle is simply make a nice straight cut around, removing the lid portion, creating something that looks like this. So now that we have our bottle prepped and I have my depth gauge and cutting tool ready, all that I'm going to do is I'm going to place my knife onto the bottle, and I'm going to begin to rotate the bottle and pull my knife in a direction I want it to cut. And then once it starts to cut, you just got to take your time finding the correct depth, and the gauge will start to work, and it's going to give you really nice consistent cordage around this. So the first 1 or 2 rotations are definitely the most difficult because your bottle from your cut is probably going to be a little bit uneven, but as you go, you see I'm starting to create this right here. Okay, that's what we're looking for, big strands of that. So I'm just going to work this around, making sure I maintain the depth gauge properly, keeping a little bit of downward pressure as I go. And like I said, the first 1 or 2 until you get it nice and even all the way around, they're the worst, they take the longest. But then after that, it goes pretty quick. You can see we already made about a foot of cordage. So let me do this and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so just making my way along, you can see lots of cordage in a really quick amount of time. You just got to take your time with it. Use that depth gauge, slide the knife, keeping a little bit of downward pressure, and then you'll make a lot of progress. And you can make a lot of footage of cordage from a bottle just like this. So this is definitely not a skill you're going to use every single time, but it's a good skill to know, and it's something that in a pinch you know how to do. All right, and there you go, just like that, another tool for the toolbox. So if you like this video, hit like and subscribe down below. You can also check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for all our classes, our gear, and our blog. And until next video, stay in the woods.